The Great Escape is a video game which shares a title and similar plot to the film The Great Escape. The game was programmed by Denton Designs, which went on to produce the similarly acclaimed Where Time Stood Still. Loved that game. Now, Denton's game was published by Ocean Software in 1986 for the ZX Spectrum, the Commodore 64, the Amstrad CPC and also on MS-DOS. So, in this video, we're going to look at all four versions. So let's start by looking at the ZX Spectrum version first. So, the player controls an unnamed prisoner of war who has been interned in a POW camp somewhere in northern Germany in 1942. Now, the camp itself is a small castle on a promontory surrounded on three sides by cliffs and the cold North Sea. And the only entry to the camp is by a narrow road through the gatehouse, and anyone passing through this must be carrying the correct papers. Everywhere else in the camp is surrounded by fences or walls with guard dogs used to patrol the perimeter, and guards in observation towers with searchlights posted to watch for any prisoners trying to escape. Beneath the camp there is also a maze of tunnels and drains, although these are dangerous to enter without some kind of light. And obviously, the player's task is to escape from this camp, and there are a number of different ways that this can be achieved. So, let's have a look at the game. So, the main screen display reveals a section of the scrolling prison compound, or if you're indoors, the room is shown from the usual 3D game angle. To begin with, it's a good idea to leave the controls well alone. The hero goes about the daily grind of prison life with other prisoners and you get an idea of what's going on. And a normal day consists of parades, meals and exercise periods, all marked by a bell displayed in the status area, which rings out loud and clear. A message window gives an update on events in the camp and explains the reason for the bell's clamour. You'll also notice a flag flying from a pole to the left of the main play area, which serves a number of functions. For example, the higher the flag flies, the higher the morale of the central character. And whenever a red cross parcel arrives or the hero succeeds in picking up or using an item of escape equipment, then his morale will improve. Now, you do need to be careful because morale is lowered with searches and arrests and gradually diminishes as time elapses. Once the flag reaches the bottom of the pole, the potential escapee loses his will to rejoin the war and becomes resigned to plodding around the camp with the other prisoners. In this result, you lose control and you have to start a new game. And while the flag is green, you have limited control and the hero can only be searched by the camp commandant. And flippin' heck, should he find any contraband, it's off to the cell, so it's wise to keep out of his way. Also, the flag turns red as soon as the escapee breaks with the routine and moves off limits. While the flag is red, objects can be picked up and dropped, but the would-be escaper is liable to arrest and searched by guards. Now, once you've established the routine of the camp, then it's really time to play for real and start planning the escape. Unfortunately, only 2 items can be secreted in the old greatcoat, so it's a good idea to find safe hiding places for useful items. And if the guards find these objects, they confiscate them and return them back to the original location. Now, the guards are fairly predictable fellows. Once they've been assigned a patrol route by the commandant, they follow it regularly and can be timed. So long as you don't cross their line of sight, they won't really notice you, but they are mindful of the wrath of the patrolling commandant, who moves around the camp inspecting them, so the guards are always keeping alert. To begin with, security is fairly lax, but the commandant sets up security when the hero is caught out of bounds, and avoiding the guards becomes trickier. And during the night, searchlights sweep the courtyard and prisoners outside the huts get arrested on sight. Maybe wearing a German uniform might help there. Now, points are awarded for escape attempts and for collecting and using objects. There are a number of routes out of the camp. Use a tunnel, cut the wire, or bluff your way past the sentries at the main gates. Whichever way you go out, once outside you'll need a compass and some papers or you won't get very far. Just like the film. For me, The Great Escape is definitely one of the best games ever seen on the Spectrum. In fact, although I did like Where Time Stood Still, this game is actually better. I was extremely happy to see that Ocean have introduced a scrolling play area. The flip screen method though, it does annoy me slightly. The playing area is superbly drawn with some very large and detailed buildings, all with an ensuite stove and cupboards, and even a chimney to let out those heated arguments. I love this game, it is totally brilliant, and the game is brilliant fun to play as you actually feel that you're trapped in the camp. There are lots of clever features and the game is very easy to get into, and I found that I could explore a large area of the camp and tunnels without any keys or wire cutters. The instructions are also very well written and they do complement the game. I mean, to get totally wholly engrossed in the game and its plot, all you have to do is read the instructions and watch your character wander around the camp doing his daily chores. And by the time you understand how the game works, there is no way you can possibly leave it alone. The graphics are superb, the characters are excellently animated, and the playing area scrolls well and is expertly detailed. Sure, the sound is a little dull, there is a beeped version of It's a Long Way to Tipperary on the title screen, but not much in the way of spot effects during the play. But in saying all that, I love The Great Escape, and I'm sure you will too if you give it a chance. And finally, the ZX Spectrum version of The Great Escape was placed at number 23 in your Sinclair official Top 100 after originally being scored 9 out of 10 and a Mega Game Award in the magazine's January 1987 issue. And both the tense atmosphere and the protagonist's automatic daily routine were highlighted as excellent features. The game also won the awards for Best Arcade Adventure and Best Advert of the Year according to the readers of Crash. It was also a runner-up for the best game and also nominated in other categories including best graphics. So, overall, a great game. Okay, let's get into the other version, shall we? So let's look at the Commodore 64 version. Now, the well-known converter Trevor Innes created this Commodore 64 version. Now, what I would say in overall summary, it's very similar to the ZX Spectrum version. Now, I can say that the isometric gameplay makes it a tad difficult to navigate your character using a joystick, and that scrolling screens were a little bit slow and a bit choppy, and the game runs rather slowly unfortunately, a problem that the Commodore 64 suffered with many of these isometric games it seems. But when there's no need for scrolling, well, the game does run perfectly fine. Overall, still a great game, but I'm going to suggest that the ZX Spectrum version of this game plays better than the Commodore 64. Let's have a look at the game. Okay, now we're on to the Amstrad CPC version. The Great Escape on the Amstrad is well thought out and an addictive game, but the presentation on the Amstrad version is awful. The game plays sluggishly, and the screen takes a second to update when it needs to scroll. For me, looking at the game, it feels that the programmers realised that they could just dump the Spectrum code to the Amstrad to save time, and as a result, the quality of this sort of game has gone downhill. It's a little bit irritating. and the graphics are a little bit flickery to say the least. However, despite the very nasty flickery graphics, it's still a good game. Perhaps a lot more might have been done with the sound and colour though. But saying all that, the game's the thing though, isn't it? And there's bags of depth and plot, just like any version of this game. It is good. And I suppose I do like how the whole game is controlled from joystick, despite the quite complex commands and manipulation of objects. So, that's a positive. Let's have a look at the game. And finally, we're on to the MS-DOS version. Now, this highly successful Spectrum game from Denton, it arrived on the PC almost a year later. And I have to say, it's a fine conversion from the Spectrum original. It certainly retains all the original's atmosphere through the detail of the camp life and the aerial viewpoint, which works very well. With lots to do and a large castle to search, it's highly playable and provides quite a challenge. But it is a pity that the IBM version hasn't taken the greater advantages offered by the machine over the Spectrum, because it's not much of an improvement, if any, over the original. Still, all the games are good. Let's have a look at the game. Okay folks, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed my short video of The Great Escape. Thank you very much for watching, much appreciated. Now please remember to like my video, share a comment and better still subscribe. Until my next video, see you all very soon. Bye bye.